If you had the opportunity to pick any pro angler and be a co-angler for a day, who would that be? That's what we're going to talk about right now. Imagine you had the opportunity to pick any professional angler, any local angler that's a stud, and go out and fish with them on your favorite pond. Who would the angler be that you pick? Now, these need to be anglers that are alive, but imagine having this opportunity. Now, what would you look for? Well, for me, I would look at, am I compatible with the way the angler fishes versus the way I fish? I want to have someone that's going to be able to teach me how to be better at the things that I like to fish, the style I like to fish. Would you pick someone who's a specialist at one specific way of fishing? Would you think that that person would help you, allow you to learn and become a better angler? Would you prefer for this to be a learning opportunity? Someone that will be able to give you as much knowledge as possible in that 8 hours of fishing, that you can ask them questions and get the answers you've always wanted. Not only about fishing, but maybe fishing that exact spot. Would you want to know someone who's a finesse fisher or a power fisherman, or someone who's a bank beater, or someone who's very good and dominant with forward-facing sonar? Would the person's personality come into effect? Would you want someone that's more personable, who's down to earth, who's more humble, who is not only confident when they're on the water, but also can talk to you and tell you stories as the day goes on? Would that be someone who's funny and spontaneous? Or would you want the quiet, shy person and just watch them fish for the whole day? How important would be communication in that angler? Now, there's some anglers who communicate very well as they fish. There's others who don't like to communicate while they fish. They're focusing on what's going on. And even though you're there for a fun day of fishing, communication would be very important. Because for me, I would want to hear the stories more than I'd want to fish. And lastly, would it be someone who's a local pro that you can have bring to your favorite pond and dissect how they would manage or pattern that pond and lake? And when I look at all those things, here's a few anglers that come to mind. And I should say, most of these anglers are friends and acquaintances, so I know them fairly well. Would you want Bill Dance, the icon in the industry, someone that will be able to tell you loads of story, who's funny, spontaneous, great angler, and would be fantastic to share the boat with? Or would you want to go an opposite direction and go with Jacob Wheeler, someone who is versatile, who's consistent, and who's on top of his game? You could learn forward-facing sonar with him. You could learn beating the bank and power fishing. You could hear his stories. To be truthful, if you ever get a time to spend or listen to Jacob Wheeler, he is he's brilliant on the water. Or would you prefer to go with Kevin Van Dam, the KVD, the best of the best angler that's ever lived? His stories, his power fishing. If you were up north, would you rather fish with him versus would you want to go down south? Someone who I know gets a lot of respect and is a fantastic angler, Brandon Palaniuk. Brandon is phenomenal on the boat. I can tell you this firsthand. He's knowledgeable, he talks, he's funny, he has all of it. And he can teach you from everything, from one level to the next, and you'll be dumbfounded by the knowledge you can learn from Brandon. Or would you prefer someone like John Cox, who's a shallow water fisherman, does not want forward-facing sonar anywhere near his boat, but he can get you someplace and you can learn how to beat the bank properly, what you should target, where you should cast, what you should be using. Someone like John Cox, who's a shallow water angler, would be phenomenal to spend 8 hours on the boat with. Atafo is another one. Great communicator, great guy, probably without question, the best person I've ever seen cast in my life. Being on the boat with him was fantastic. But would that be who you would pick? Or would the Johnston brothers get them up in north and go smallie fishing? How amazing would it be to learn their techniques and their tactics for smallmouth fishing with forward-facing sonar? Or would you prefer to go with someone like Seth Feider, who's not only a great angler, who's just funny, good. There's a ton of superlatives you could use for Seth. Or would you prefer someone like Mark Zona? Now you can go fish with Mark and hear all sorts of stories of the elites, him fishing, his background. if there's a storyteller, Mark Zona would be the person I would say you need to go fish with. I would be remiss without saying one of the anglers that I would love, for me, that I would love to spend time with would be Bernie Schultz. If you've never met Bernie, Bernie is one of the nicest guys in the world. Hasn't won an elite tour, but you want to know what? He's been consistent and on the elites for I don't even know how many years. He's one of the good guys in the industry, but would someone in their older age be who you pick? Or would it be someone like Mark Daniels Jr. or Brent Ehrler or Keith Pouchet? Those are all guys that would be fun to be on the water, have a great reputation, are great anglers, but would one of those three be someone you wanted to spend 8 hours on the boat with? For me, there's one person. I've never shared time on the boat with him. I look forward to it at some point. But for me, Justin Lucas is someone I want to fish with. I want to learn everything that he's learned. I think Justin is, without question, one of the best anglers on the planet. I think he's consistent. I think he's smart. I think he does things right. And I think he also is able to communicate properly. He's funny. He talks well. He speaks well. He's honest. He's humble. And that's the person I would pick. If I had to do it, that would be the person I pick. And I've never been on the boat with Justin. I do think he's amazing though. So who would be the person you want to fish with? If you were to have one day anywhere in the country fishing with a pro and you could be the co-angler, comment below and tell me what you think. Thanks for hitting that like and subscribe button. Thank you to all the new members. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everyone who's interactive on the channel. This has been fantastic. 2024 was huge. Let's make 2025 even bigger. So if you're not a subscriber, click that button. It's quick, easy, and it's free. And I really do appreciate it. Remember, take your kid fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on.